as much as I love you guys, but not till the end. But then it got quite steaming here.
What was your feeling on Faustino? I want to know how you feel about the young talent and how it went.
Great. I was quite concerned, maybe you can say, about the unknown, because I didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
The standard ratings and all don't really capture a 11-year-old prodigy with the way they're growing. First game was choppy, but anyway, I made it.
Okay. Well, here we go. The first
Yeah.
Armageddon game of the round. We'll see how choppy it is. We've got an exchange Slav on the board. Both players playing fast, so.
Before we get into this one, Vishy, I have to say the only thing that stuns my jealousy for not going to Italy like you did is the fact that you missed that pivotal moment between Gukesh and Magnus. What's your take on it? I'm sure you've seen it.
Yes, it's pretty raw. I think when I played Mamedyarov a couple of years back and just resigned, I made my move, resigned, and then I had to explain to him why I resigned, which makes it even harder. And I mean, that evening I was as miserable as you could be. But I guess for Magnus it was just too intense. To be winning the whole game, I was not winning him, by the way. Here, I just spoiled a good tournament, but here Magnus would have had a 3-point lead. And he had it, he had played a good game, and to miss that this night comes back. Wow.
I wanted to ask you, Vishy, because you just said that you lost that game to Mamedyarov, a game where you had to explain to him why you resigned. It ate you up. I think if we rank how chess players handle their emotions, there's the keep it all bottled inside, at least while they're in the public, and then go back to the hotel room and scream in the pillow or maybe do something worse, right? Then there's those who maybe visibly, show that they're upset, maybe not as visibly there, and then maybe those who kind of lose their temper in the moment. If you were to look back on your career, what are some of your most memorable moments of maybe going against someone who was really animated, maybe not quite banging the table, but some of the players you went up against that really kind of could lose their cool?
Ivanchuk had moments when he was really disappointed to lose to me. But surprisingly, I think he was, the reaction we saw in New York, I haven't seen from him before. So that was quite emotional. Yeah. And there are other moments. Surprisingly, it's not the big ones, because in many tournaments, you've seen the writing on the wall long before it happens. Mm-hmm. It's only this kind of blunder thing.
Right.
I think the game which single-handedly convinced me it was probably time to move on from chess, and in a way, when the pandemic happened, and I think it kind of led me to where I am now, was the game with Fabiano in Vaikense. I can't think of a game which drove me nuts more than that one. I mean, how can you lose that game after the time control? In fact, I have a winning position somewhere around move, and I played an excellent game. I mean, given who I was playing and so on, I reached the time control, and I flubbed that position. I still can't believe it. There are other ones. There's the time lost to Kamsky in a winning position, game one. That match in general, the preceding match in general in India, there are lots of moments where life seemed to stop. But yeah.
Now, you've also been on the other side of the coin at the beginning of your career, and the moments that Gukesh is living right now, what do you think was going through his mind? He seemed cool, calm, collected when he came here in the studio, but I'm sure there was a huge storm inside of him.
Yes. First of all, he must have been thinking, I mean, Magnus has really set the cat among the pigeons. He kind of is showing that he takes this game with Gukesh very seriously, at least for appearances and nothing else. He really wants to make a point, kind of thing. And, Gukesh was thinking, why do I keep playing like this? I mean, game one, he defended well for a long time, and then he lost. And then to do this to his position yesterday for no apparent reason, and to be just so dead lost. But he's a very tenacious defender, even in these things. He looks for these last chances, and he did that. But he must have been so relieved. First of all, as a chess player, you don't care. You only care for injustice when it happens to you. If you're lucky, you're very grateful normally. So I'm sure. But it's much better to have it go like this and worry about what could have been than to actually have a tournament wrecked.
Yeah, it was a historical moment, as we have covered already. And what do we have here? Since we are just easing into this Armageddon, Magnus with the white pieces trying to dismantle Black's position, and he's doing a pretty good job so far. And in fact, I'm seeing something flash in front of my eyes right now, a move that I did not consider at all. Knight takes c3.
Wait, what?
Oh, wow.
What?
Yeah.
Christian? Please explain.
It's a piece sacrifice. Once you see it, it makes a lot of sense. If you do take on c3, I have the immediate knight to c4, and it's all about not allowing you to go castle, not allow you to put your king to safety. And if you don't do that, also there's a big fork coming. Knight to d6 is going to go straight into the heart of your position, and after that, unfortunately, you're going to simply resign. You just simply don't have where to put your pieces to get out of that, and the king is going to be under a tremendous pressure. So, beautiful idea, knight takes c3. If he finds it, we understand that white has a close to decisive advantage. Maybe not decisive yet, but close to decisive advantage. And especially Magnus, in the hands of Magnus, after you do take this pawn on c3, you're going to start putting the pressure on the c file. Everything
he found
plays.
it. Magnus found it.
Wow.
He has thought for 2.5 minutes. I was just about to ask Danny and Vishy if that's what he's calculating, and he did
Can I
it.
play c5? Yeah.
c5 after taking, or
No, yeah. I see. Both knights go to. You play
Knight
knight
to
c4, rook
b5.
a6, knight to b5.
Ooh,
All the knights are landing on d6. Okay,
yeah.
yeah, and then it's busted.
Yeah.
piling. It's all about this square d6, right? And you don't have the time. You can get out of the check with castle, but you still have some pieces lying around after knight to d6. So everything piles up.
Hikaru with the castle clearly showing that the sacrifice is correct. You cannot capture the knight. He castles to try to get his king out of danger, but is it getting it even worse? The question mark for castling.
It's bad. Right now is just a losing position. Both of the players know it. The only thing that Hikaru can do is not spend time and not get himself to the last couple of minutes,
think
because
knight
then he's completely busted.
I think knight takes d7 must be a decent.
Knight takes d7 is the best move.
Yeah,
in
because if you take with the knight, I go knight e4. If you take with the queen, knight a4.
It's all about the soft squares in your land. And what you don't want to do as white, do not allow black to go c5 in the right position, because that would open up the one really bad piece that you have in this position, the bishop on b7.
Christian, can we show why black cannot push the pawn now? What would happen?
That is a very good question. And it's the same penetration via d6. This is the key square in the position. And if I manage to get there, I'm just simply going to absolutely destroy your position.
Well, and Magnus sees knight takes d7. I think that's instructive for, especially for a lot of our audience who might be looking at the bar on the left that says, wow, white's advantage is huge, but material is equal, right? There's nothing that's been won yet. And I think highlighting that c5 can't be played, and then highlighting that because it can't be played, the rook will come to c1, and that pawn is what we call a positional weakness. And in chess, that basically means it's not going anywhere for a while. It's a permanent problem. And so this is why, for those wondering why white, and here Magnus, has such a huge advantage, even though he has not won any material, it's because if you can't play c5, then you're gonna, and of course here you can't take it because you just lose the pawn, as Christian is highlighting. And if you can't play it, white will get rook to c1 next, which means that pawn is a big weakness for the rest of the game, and the kind of weakness that Magnus, of course, has exploited many times. So.
And that's exactly what we've seen. Bishop to a6, he's trying, Hikaru, to find a square for that bishop. The thing is, sure, it's a better square than b7, but it's still not doing anything. You just simply don't have any targets. You don't have a way to reshuffle this bishop to the other side of the board. That would be ideal for you. If you can actually put it on g6 and at least give it a job to defend the king side, well, that would be ideal. You don't have those options, and right now, with this bishop, comparable with the bishop on g2 is just such a bad piece, and that's the differentiator.
But now white's just going to win the b4 pawn. I mean, e3 just threatens straight up to win the b4 pawn, and I actually
I can take that one as well.
How you defend that now?
Yeah, don't defend that. I mean, the only way to defend it is by taking on a4 and thing, but
Yeah.
It's long term. You're just going. Oh, in fact, you can't even save the thing like this. Yeah.
Now you're losing.
Yeah.
Magnus has taken the pawn.
He's doing it. It's still somewhat of a task to finish it off, but if anybody, Magnus is one of the best, if not the best, at doing this type of creating winning chances out of disadvantage.
And this is the win he needs. Yes, it's Armageddon. He wasn't very much in fighting spirit in classical chess, but in Armageddon, there will be a result. And if he wins the Armageddon, he will be the sole leader of the tournament. Depending on what Fabiano plays today, it could very well be that Magnus Carlsen will be going into tomorrow's round being the only tournament leader. So this could still be huge, and it could give him back that mojo that he lost yesterday by losing a winning position against Gukesh.
And I think this is an instructive moment because knight to b6, you might be thinking, hey, why can't I take your piece? You take on b6 and your queen is hanging. But this would be very bad for white because I am getting the rook, I am giving you my queen. But once I land on the first rank, your king is getting checkmated. So this would be quite problematic. Don't do that. I'm sure he didn't. He played rook to c5, knight to d5. This is what we have right now. Extra pawn to the good for Magnus and a better position.
And we see a trade in the center. He's trading his bishop for the knight. So what remains on the board, what you can see is that white's pieces are dominating this position through the weaknesses in black's camp. Dropping the rook back so that the knight can land on c5. The computer doesn't like it too much. Vishy, how about this move?
Actually, now that bishop on b5 helps stabilize black's pawn structure, and given the weaknesses e2, f3, g2, that bishop is poised to go to f3. So for a bad position, this is a good version.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Version of a bad
For
position. I
a
like the way
bad
you put
position,
it.
you're making it work. That's what black is doing. Now, Vishy, the idea you highlighted about the kingside light squares made me wonder, especially in a fast time control game, now black has these sort of, last-ditch renegade chances to bring the queen to the light squares on c8 or something, and at some point you have to maybe watch out for that light square bishop abandoning the c6 pawn and flipping sides. I mean, obviously it's a bit of a pipe dream, but that's a real danger in fast time controls.
I think Magnus will play queen c3 now, so that he can liberate the knight c5,
okay.
then force off this pair of rooks.
That'll help.
But black can play in the meantime queen c8, knight c5, capture twice, and then dump your queen on f5 or even h3.
Yeah, and it's not so simple. And look
Yeah.
at it.
Let's catch up with the game because I think there's a slightly different version. And the pawn push on the king side by Hikaru.
They're going straight
Oh my
for that.
gosh! Here
What
we
is this
go.
g5?
No, but this must be bad because I'll play
H4.
e4.
Yeah.
I'll play e4 somewhere.
e4 is the best move right now.
Yeah, I'll play e4 and queen e3. I think Hikaru jumped the gun a bit.
With g5.
Yes,
Yeah.
he might have. Yes, he might have. But it's not that bad. It's still not that
okay.
bad. Let's see what he's doing right now. Let's catch up with the players. e4 is indeed on the board. We expect queen to e3.
We should highlight that again. Hikaru only needs a draw, everyone. A draw is a win for black here. So if Magnus is to make a mistake, you see
Hikaru's
that,
back in the game.
Exactly, the eval bar back to level. What I was pointing out is Magnus's mistake doesn't even have to be a mistake of a loss. It just needs to be a mistake of a perpetual check, right? Or some other sort of blunder that leads to a drawn endgame. So yeah, this is far from over. Hikaru has gotten himself back in it.
Completely back in the game. Now you have ideas of rook h8, get something on the h file, and maybe even deliver an attack.
Oh, I see the problem. Knight takes e4, rook takes e4 is a perpetual.
Yes, it is.
Queen takes g3.
Yes,
G3,
it
and you
is.
can never block queen g2 because you're defending e1, right? So.
Yes, it is, and that's a very good point. The rook on e1 is just unattended. You lose that. So, in fact, after king g7, the onus is on Magnus to find something because right now the position objectively is equal. And let's not forget, in the Armageddon, Hikaru has drawing chances. So, drawing odds, I might add. So if he makes a draw, he wins the match.
And this would be huge for Hikaru as well. These are two wounded lions. Magnus lost yesterday against Gukesh, and Hikaru lost his last 4 Armageddon matches.
But rook h8 allows queen takes e4. That might have been missed by Magnus. Oh, sorry, Hikaru. Yeah, you see him shaking his head. That's an honest shake from Hikaru. No psychology there. I think he knows he missed that.
But perhaps queen g5 anyway, because that pawn on d4 is quite weak.
He can take on g5.
Yeah, it might not matter.
He probably has to take on g5.
And white probably has to swap queens because queen d2 is in the air and what have you. No.
He gives a check.
He's going for gold.
Now he's losing.
Uh-oh.
Now it's bad. You can see the bar shoot up right there. Bishop to f1. He's trying to go from behind, but queen to e5 just finishes the game right now.
Yeah.
In this moment.
Queen e5, the king has to move to the h file. I guess we'll let them play it because if you go back there,
And then I just push. I try to
okay.
completely dismantle your position. You only have a check. This check, I go king to e3, and the checks stop.
It's
at
just
this
well,
point.
there's queen g1, but yeah, the king is getting out.
The king will get. It's not that easy, actually.
Yeah, that's.
It truly is not that easy. You do allow some checks, but
Magnus playing king to f4 instead of the check. Still
Look at
winning,
this.
but
This
what a
is
crazy king.
This is wild. That is fun.
great move as well.
By the way, now black has no checks, so your threat of queen e5 and g6 is devastating.
You can see it on Hikaru's face. You can see it all on his face.
He's looking for
But
it.
Queen G5 was
Yeah, it was
completely
simple.
okay.
So
Yeah,
what do you think Hikaru was thinking there? Is he seeing some sort of mirage, an illusion on queen h3, or is he?
Into H2.
I don't see the problem even for King F2.
Yeah.
But if King F2 doesn't work, then he missed King F3.
Okay. Okay.
Queen to e5, and now you have a lot of ways. In fact, why don't you
So
just simply take
why the
the
bishop
bishop
is not
on
Why
f1?
not Rook takes F1?
Yeah. Well, there is rook h4 check because the pawn is pinned, and I'm not saying it works, but I think Hikaru is. I don't know.
But King E3 and
And
then,
Magnus has played it. Magnus has captured the bishop. He's up a piece.
Yeah.
The knight is coming to the defense right now. This is over, guys. This is over. I do believe that Magnus will take this Armageddon, and Hikaru is not going to be happy because he had it in the back. Queen to g2. Rook a1. The rook is ready to invade as well.
Threatening
Yeah.
checkmate in 2. This is not good news for Hikaru Nakamura. It's going to be his 5th loss in Armageddon in a row.
One more check, and once I hide my king on g4, that's it.
Yeah.
Resignation and the smile by Hikaru. What a game this was. Magnus had a better position, but then Hikaru fought his way back with this crazy move, g5, and the
Yeah, yeah.
kingside attack.
Well, you can read
He had a
Magnus's
draw.
lips and he
Magnus's
said, yeah,
lip
G5.
there. He
yeah.
just sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, Ann. I'm sorry, but I was reading his lips, and he was like, I think you could just play queen g5. He's like, I think you just play queen g5, and everything's okay. But anyway, yes, wild stuff there.
That is a
and-
great point, Danny. And it's always good to see the players analyzing. Good that you can read their lips as well. I'm not always that good at the body language and reading sign language as well.
Losing your hearing gives you the skill of reading lips, and it was definitely, he said, yeah, just play queen g5. So, but there you have it.